Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here, got another Master Duel video for you. So, I actually thought the new pack was coming out today. YouTube members might have noticed this video got uploaded a little bit later than they usually do. That's because I was planning on recording my pack opening video this morning. But the pack's not out till tomorrow, so we'll have to do that then. By the way, for those who don't know, if you are a YouTube member, which you can become a member by clicking that join button next to the subscribe button there down below the video, that'll get you early access to my videos as soon as they are uploaded, as opposed to when I schedule them to go out. It's also a fantastic way to support the channel. We also have Patreon as well. Link to that is in the description below if you're interested. But in any case, yeah, so I figured I'd take today, rather than opening new packs like I thought I was going to do, I'd rather take today to talk about some of the new changes here in Master Duel, particularly to the Forbidden Limited list. A couple notices in here. One is of the upcoming Duelist Cup. We're already very well aware of that. The new selection pack, Chaotic Showtime. I'm quite eager to play White Forest myself. I am very, very much looking forward to that. I also think Still Hat Rabbit is a very, very cool card. So, but moreover, I'm here to talk about this update, which is actually going to be in the other new selection pack here, Invincible Aces. Yeah, so as you can see, it's got a bunch of cards that you might not expect to see here that are currently banned, like Dragoon, like Masterpiece, like Knightmare Mermaid, and Mermaid is not the only one as we go over here to upcoming Forbidden Limited List update. So, this definitely took people by surprise, at least somewhat. At least somewhat. IB, the World Chalice Justicar, has been unbanned in both TCG and OCG for quite some time. So this was probably the least surprising of these changes, right? This is something that we've been anticipating for quite some time. And of course, myself being a synchro enthusiast, I am definitely looking forward to the IB being unbanned. There's quite a few things you can cook with this. I know folks in my Discord server, if you're interested, link in the description below, have been talking about Runic Generator and how this is a pretty good support card for that. I'm particularly looking forward to trying it in TG. TG is a deck which can already make level 5 synchros extremely easily. So I would be interested to see how potentially adding the IB could affect that combo line. But like I said, there are quite a few other surprises here. So quite a few of these cards, at least two of them here, Knightmare Mermaid and Knightmare Goblin. These are cards that have been banned for quite some time, and a lot of people were pretty convinced could never come back. I think I've even made comments myself. Now, to that effect rather, I will say this. I did not play when these cards were first legal. So I don't have first-hand experience of their power. Of course, I can read them and go back to older formats and understand, right? But there is definitely something to be said for understanding cards / a deck in theory versus in practice, right? So let's go ahead and just read these cards here. Let's start with that. Knightmare Mermaid is a Link 1 Water Fiend Link monster. Material requirements are 1 Nightmare monster except Knightmare Mermaid. If this card is Link summoned, you can discard 1 card. Special summon 1 Nightmare monster from your deck. Then, if this card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you can draw 1 card. You can only use this effect of Knightmare Mermaid once per turn. Monsters on the field lose 1000 attack and defense unless they are co-linked. We also have Knightmare Goblin, which is a Link 2 with 1300 attack points. It's a Fiend Link with material requirement being any 2 monsters with different names. It's extremely generic. If this card is Link summoned during your turn, you can discard 1 card. If this card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you can draw 1 card. Also, during your main phase this turn, you can normal summon 1 monster from your hand to your zone this card points to, in addition to your normal summon / set. You can only apply this effect of Knightmare Goblin once per turn. Neither player can target co-linked monsters you control with card effects. So, it might not be too hard to see why these are as good as they are, right? In particular, the fact that, like I said before, Knightmare Goblin is completely generic. 2 monsters with different names is a trivially easy condition to fulfill. It even gives you an extra normal summon. And, more importantly, you can then link it into the Knightmare Mermaid which can then discard a card to special summon any Knightmare monster from your deck. Now, Ibli, which was the big one, that was the one, of course, that once leaked got put in your opponent's field, and then while it's on the field, its controller can't do anything besides link summon as far as special summoning goes. That card is banned, thankfully. It's a little more insight into why they possibly banned that card as well. It was debatably, you know, deserved to get banned anyway for its use in certain variants of Duel. I pretty much agree with that hit, but I think that was more of a quality of life hit than a power level hit. Ibli's very annoying. It creates non-games, but I don't think that that strategy in Duel was like dominating the meta. But in any case, so what is the implication of these two cards being legal? Well, the implication is that any two monsters with different names, as mentioned before, lets you go into the Knightmare setup. And since you can't get Ibli, now we're looking to get the Knightmare Orchest cards. So now we're looking at a meta where any two monsters with different names gets you pretty much a full Orchest combo right there, right? Because I think there's cards that are called like Orchestrated Knightmare. I think there's a couple of them, at least one, but is that bad? I'm inclined to think not. One of the reasons that I wanted to wait a little bit before making this video, I'm sure I'm gonna get a comment that's like, you're a day late for this news. But I wanted to have the time to think about it, right? I didn't want to have a knee-jerk reaction where I said, oh, this is definitely gonna be broken, and then become one of those Yugi tubers that people talk about as like falsely hyping stuff up. Never been my intention. Never once been my intention on this channel. But, so yeah, having had time to sit down and talk with people and think about Knightmare, Mermaid, and Goblin, here's my thought. And I could be wrong about this, but I don't think I am. I think that we're at a point in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where if you have two monsters on your field with different names, like, you can just do better stuff than make an Orchest board. Like, that's two different bodies. And yeah, you could probably argue that there's a lot of one-card combos that can pretty easily get you two different bodies. But now you have to ask yourself the question, is it worth giving up those two bodies to go into an Orchest combo instead of my deck's combo? And there are some decks out there where the answer to that question is yes. There are some out there. I think this is going to be a pretty nice buff for Pile and Rogue decks. But like, you think about like Yubel, for example, because that's the other thing too, right? It's not as easy as like, oh, I can just do full Orchest combo in literally any deck. I mean, yeah, you can, but you gotta play these two and Orchest stuff in your extra and Orchest stuff in your main deck. And in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, where we are increasingly, and we all know this is going to get more and more true with time, we're increasingly getting more and more focused on one-card combos and hand traps. I'm like, can you really afford to even play all those potential bricks in your main deck just to have this engine, just to make an Orchest board instead of whatever your deck already wants to do? When I think about it that way, it doesn't seem scary to me. Someone in my Discord server made a really good point, that they thought a lot of the reason that people were freaking out about these cards being unbanned is because they've been featured in so many top 10 cards that could never come back videos, you know, that kind of a thing. Which, you know, it's a fun thought experiment to have a video like that. I've even made videos like that. I've also been wrong in videos like that, because I said these cards could probably never come back, and the main reason I did is because everybody else said that, and I didn't have experience with these cards. It's something that I've talked a lot about in the Yu-Gi-Oh community. It's so easy, this is true of like any community, gaming or otherwise, but it's so easy to like fall into the trap of just parroting whatever everybody else is saying, but critical thought, stopping and having critical thought about the true implications of this card release happening is always going to triumph over the repeating what everybody else is saying, parroting popular opinions. But we have more cards to talk about, so why don't we do that? Red Eyes Darkness Dragoon. You know, I feel the same way I think about Dragoon as I do about the Knightmare engine, right? Because again, people have talked about, oh, you can splash Dragoon in so many different decks. here's one. Here's one. I saw a Twitter post yesterday that was kind of dooming, not kind of, based on the emojis they were using, they were definitely dooming, about the fact that you can play Dragoon in Tenpai. They were pointing out that, like, oh, if you have a Hydra plus any other monster, you can, like, go into AFD, get the secret village, and then summon a hand trap, and then go into Vert, and then make Dragoon. So that way, if you go first, you can set up this huge lock. And that sounds really gross on paper, right? That sounds absolutely absurd on paper. Oh my god. You mean Tenpai has a play where they can lock me out of spells and have this Omni Negate card on the field at the same time? That sounds absolutely ridiculous. But, like, let's stop and think about that for just a moment, right? Just a moment. The implications of that, you would have to be playing in your main deck. I'm not even counting the extra deck slots you would need for, like, Vert and Dragoon, because that's kind of whatever in Tenpai. You have the room. But as far as main deck slots go, are you seriously telling me that you're going to put Dark Magician, Red Eyes Fusion, and Secret Village of the Spellcasters in your Tenpai deck in case you happened to go first? That is completely fine with me. I said this on social media yesterday. Tenpai players, if you want to do this, go right ahead. I would love to play against you after you've put 3 Garnets in your deck in case you happen to go first. Like, just play Heat Wave at that point, which we've already figured out by now is not that great, right? So, again, really, really easy to hype this stuff up without actually thinking about the implications. Another one, actually, and this is one I've actually been fairly guilty of hyping up in the past and being scared of. Here, I'm just going to take a sip of my water. But that's Masterpiece. Masterpiece, the true Draco Slaying King. Also coming back off the ban list. This card is a level 8 light worm. Oh, I didn't read Red Eyes Dark Dragoon's effect. I had it on screen for long enough. You can read it. But, Masterpiece. Level 8 light worm, 2950 attack and defense. That says to tribute some of this face-up card, you can tribute continuous spells and trap cards you control as well as monsters. Unaffected by the effects of cards of the same card type, monster, spell, and or trap, as the original card type of effects tributed for its summon. Once per turn, if you control this tribute summoned monster, quick effect, you can banish one continuous spell or trap card from your graveyard, then target one other card in the field and destroy it. This is a card that was also very, very scary when it was first released. I remember, because this card got announced like pretty shortly after I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I remember this card being announced and reading it and thinking, thank God I don't play this game anymore. But that was in like, what, 2016, 17? Somewhere in that neighborhood. I think it was 2017. I don't remember. Anyway, my point is, that was like, what, 7 years ago at this point? The game has long since been power crept past where this is a huge issue. Another thing where I see people, you know, hyping up like, oh, you can go cashier a unicorn and add birth and then tribute them both for Masterpiece. That's so easy. It's like, one, that's a 2-card combo. And as we've discussed, we're not in a meta. I mean, you can get there with 2-card combos, but we're in a meta where as far as like what's good, what's tier 1, what's high tiered in general, is stuff that's having a lot of 1-card combos. Stuff that has a lot of 1-card combos and has a lot of room for hand traps, right? Also, let me tell you something. As somebody who has summoned Dark Guardian, the Gate Guardian monster that is also unaffected by monsters and spells, as somebody who summoned that multiple times and lost every duel I've summoned it, monster plus spell negation sounds like enough. It's not. They're gonna imperm you and they're gonna just destroy your monster. That's gonna happen every single time. And when I think about it that way, this card gets much less scary. It will be a buff to like stun and stuff, but you know, people think about stun with Masterpiece, and I think they think about like old paper play where everything was at 3. Think about where stun is now. I think about where stun is now, and I'm like, can they even make Masterpiece reliably? Like, I don't know if they can, because they have so few continuous trap cards now. And also, not only are they on so few floodgates, but they have to give one of them up just to play this card and make it immune to traps. It's like, that's totally fine. That's completely fine. Yeah, this is one that I doomed about. Again, I have doomed about in the past. I have said that I never want to come back. I said the same thing about Dragoon as well. But that was a long time ago. And again, these cards are fine now. Dragonic Diagram. This is the only card that is coming to 3 that was not banned. It was only limited. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, true Draco, true King. When was the last time any of these archetypes have done anything? Like, True King is at its best in, like, exactly the extra 0 festival. And even then, that's pretty much only as a budget deck. Like, if you have certain decks like Flu, or I would even argue Vanquish Soul, like, those were definitely just better. Like, when you think about where True King is at, that's the other thing, too. Like, when you think about, like, Masterpiece coming back in, like, a true Draco, true King style deck, that doesn't sound like an issue at all, because those decks literally do nothing right now, so. I think my overall thoughts about all of these cards going to 3 is that this is a good thing. I like this, because one thing I've noticed, even more than people dooming about any of these cards getting unhit, is I've seen a lot of people cooking with these cards. Cooking up new decks, wondering what's possible. Especially Mermaid and Goblin coming back is so unique. I really think that Master Duel should be its own format. And it already is in very many ways. And this is another very nice direction in that, or step in that direction, rather. I like this quite a bit. I like these unbannings. So, that's my overall thoughts on these cards. I don't think they're going to warp the meta. I don't think they're going to break the game in half. I think that Orcust variants might be tier 3 for a while. Maybe lower tier 2. I struggle to see that, actually. I think Orcust variants will be tier 3 for a while. That's my prediction. That is my prediction of the worst that'll happen from these cards getting unbanned. Again, I could be wrong about that. And if I am, we'll come back and have a nice laugh at me here. But I don't think that'll be the case, personally. So, that is going to go ahead and do it for today's video. Thank you so very much for watching. Yeah, so tomorrow should be pack openings. I should be able to get that video out before I have to leave for work. Which I was going to, again, try to do today, but then the pack wasn't out today. Which is totally just my fault for not reading the date and assuming it'd be out today, but yeah. So look forward to pack openings. After that, we will, of course, start cooking with all of these cards, plus all of the new cards coming in the selection pack there. So, again, definitely look forward to that. I know I am. But that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Thanks, as always, for watching. I'm not going to plug in my outro this time. I'm just going to upload this kind of straight up as is, unedited, which I don't do a lot anymore. So I'll just do my outro now. If you are interested in further supporting the channel, as I alluded to earlier, well, first of all, thank you for watching to the end of the video. Believe it or not, that's actually like the best possible way you could support the channel, is just watching videos from start to finish. That doesn't sound like it would be the most impactful thing, but I assure you, from someone more familiar with the YouTube backend, that is actually the best way to support any given channel. So thank you if you watched all the way from the beginning to the end here. Other ways you can support the channel, subscribing, you know, that's obviously always very, very nice. And if you want to explore other ways to support the channel, again, we have YouTube memberships that'll get you access to videos early. Patreon has exclusive content that has a Yu-Gi-Oh! Upload every day. That is not something that goes up here on the channel. Link to that in the description below. We have a Discord server if you want to hang out with us, among other things. So that's going to go ahead and do it for this one. Thank you so very much for watching, and that'll be all. This is Hexlex. I am signing out and hoping that you have a fantastic day.